What's going on, guys? This video is being inspired by my buddy Odeed. He's out in California where tri-tip is a common thing. I'm in South Florida and tri-tip is just starting to show up in the markets and people don't know what to make of this. For those of you guys who don't know, tri-tip is a cut of meat. It's tri-tip, it's a cut of the sirloin if I'm not mistaken. And it used to be considered junk meat, but now this triangular cut, which is why it's called tri-tip, is becoming very popular. It started gaining notoriety in California, and it's becoming very popular with grillers and smokers because the prime way to cook this is to slow roast it, slow smoke it on the grill using red oak and a dry rub. So the first time I should say that I got me some tri-tip, I had it cut into 1-inch pieces to do steaks, and I grilled them, and it was a tender and juicy cut. But I said, you know what, this isn't the proper way to do it, so I got it again. This is grass-fed tri-tip, also known as picaña. It's the name they put on there. I guess that's how it's known in the Mexican markets, in the Mexican community. So this time I got it whole in the bag, and this is what it looks like. This is the fat side up. And let's flip it, take a look at it. Oh no, that's the fatty side. Alright, so regardless, this time I'm going to slow smoke it on the Weber. Right now I'm going to use my man Odeed's rub, dang old rub right there. I'm going to rub this thing down, and I'm going to let it marinate for 24 to 48 hours. 24 should be good enough, but I don't know if I have time to cook it tomorrow, so it might go 2 days. But in 2 days I'm going to slow smoke this thing in the Weber, and I'm planning on using a combination of white oak and apple wood, straight chunks of wood mixed with lump charcoal. And this is just video number 1, man, just to show you what it looks like. Take a look at this big old solid piece of tri-tip. And I like doing the cooking videos and the grilling videos, but mainly I'm doing this just because this is something new, man. People don't know about this, especially people who are not on the West Coast. So let me, as a Floridian and a guy who has no idea what's going on, let me share my experience. Slow grilling, slow smoking a piece of tri-tip. So we're going to document this. I'll be back with more. Alright? Yeah. Alright, fuckers, here we go. Part 2 of my tri-tip experiment. Remember, grass-fed tri-tip, about 3.5 pounds worth of it, with Big Jake's Dangle Rub. But of course, no matter how good the rub, no matter how good the marinade, no matter how good the recipe, if you really like fucking around in the kitchen, you have to add something to it. So this thing has been rubbed down and patted down with Big Jake's Dangle Rub and a couple of extra things that I decided to add. I'll spare you, but his Dangle Rub is really good, but I think it's a touch on the sweet side for beef. Just my opinion. The wife happens to agree. So I added a couple of elements to kind of tone down the sweetness, but just a touch. This is still based on Big Jake's Dangle Rub. So it's been rubbed down. Now we're going to throw this thing in a 1-gallon Ziploc bag, and it's going to sit in the fridge for the next day or two before it hits the grill. So that's what it is. That's what it looks like, and we will be back. Yeah. Alright guys, here we go. This is the fire. That is lump charcoal and half oak and half apple wood. I'm going to light this fucker up in a minute. Obviously that's a lot more fuel than we actually need, but I'm going to let that kind of burn down. Once it gets to the point we want it, spread it around a little, keep it off to the side of course, because this is going to be indirect, and then we're going to throw our big old chunk of tri-tip on there. So like I said, we're going to document every step of this because I've never done this before. So one way or the other, we're going to record it and see how it goes. So let's light this fucker up. This is going to be indirect. So I got the coals and the wood pushed over to the side there. I'm letting it burn down just a bit. Now I get the grill nice and hot so I can clean it good. And pretty soon I'm going to drop the top and throw the meat on here. So that'll be the next step. But, you know, this looks really nice. And it's really fucking hot. I can feel the heat coming off of this thing. So I figured I'd show it to you. And we'll be back in a few. Alright guys, we got the fire pretty much to where we want it, so it's going to be time to throw the tri-tip on. Now here it is. This thing has been marinating in this bag. Vacuum seal is always preferable. I don't have a vacuum sealer, so I just do a gallon size Ziploc, and I try to get as much air out of there as possible when I marinate anything. It's been marinating in that bag for about 48 hours with Big Jake's dang old rub, also known as OD'd. Plus I did add a couple of extra ingredients that I thought would balance out his rub. It is a touch on the sweet side, which is great for pork, but I'm not so sure about it on beef. But regardless, I trust the man. He knows what he's doing, and his rub is tasty. So here is the rub down tri-tip. The side you see on top is the side with the thick layer of fat that is going to go down on the grill. He said in his video, and it makes perfect sense, the fatty side down will protect, because as the fat melts off, it's going to protect the bottom side of the roast of the meat from burning or searing more than you want it to. So here it is on a plate. It's been out of the refrigerator now for maybe 3 to 4 hours. It's not room temp yet, but it is not cold out of the fridge. You never want to cook any meat cold out of the fridge. And yeah, so I let it warm up, and I'm going to give it a light dusting of the rub, a very light dusting of the rub on both sides, and then take it out to the grill. So here we go, guys. It's going to be time to cook. All right, here we go, guys. Grill temperature is at about 230 to 240, a little higher than I want, and it's inching up as it gets oxygen. So let's be quick about this. Try to do this one-handed here. Throw this big bad boy. You know what? I think maybe like so. No hiss, no sear, because this is low temp cooking. But that's it. We got our tri-tip. And I'm going to put the vents over the meat with the flames, with the, fuel on that side, just so we can get kind of a crosswind, and then that way I can get a better temperature gauge, because I'm doing this, low budget style. Poor man with a little Weber. That's how we do. But that's it. I'm going to let that guy sit in there for the, I got the fat side down. Got a good amount of fuel. I'm going to check the temp on this guy maybe again in about 30 to 40 minutes. Make sure the temperature in the grill is good. The whole key here is to just check it every so often, and if you see it kind of low, just add fuel. Once again, I got plenty of fuel. But we'll just kind of let that slowly fucking cook in there. Check it every 30-40 minutes. And in about 2 hours, we're going to pull it. Thoughts on cooking. Let me just kind of say this now. Matter of fact, let me see if I can turn this around. Thoughts on cooking, just to throw this out there. OD'd is the one I got this idea and this recipe from, plus the rub. He slow cooks it for a few hours at about the low 200s and basically does a reverse sear. He sears it after it's cooked. I agree with that theory, so I'm going to do about the same. My grill is different and my method is a little different, so I'm just going to give it about 2 hours and I'm going to keep watching the internal temperature. I'm going to cook it like this, keep the grill temp under 250, hour and a half, 2 hours, keep checking it. And when the internal temp gets to about 130, then I'll let the flames pick up and I will sear it on both sides. Maybe, 5 minutes per side, and check the internals, because I'm going for medium rare on this. But that's pretty much how you want to do it, and like I said, we're going to document this and go from there. So that's where we're at. I'll check in with you guys later. You see that, guys? That's a closed grill. There's a reason I'm showing you the closed grill. See, the tri-tip has been in there at about 230 degrees, more or less. It's been in there for about 45 minutes. I'm curious. I want to look at the fire. I want to look at the meat. But I'm not going to, because you don't open the fucking grill. It's a mistake a lot of guys make. They keep opening the grill. They keep wanting to look at it. Don't. Okay? Don't. You have your little thermometer. You do like I do. You poke it in there to get an idea of what the temperature is like. That's how you know if your fire is dwindling and you know you need to add fuel. If your temperature's good, leave it the fuck alone. We're 45 minutes in, we got a ways to go. I'll be back. Alright guys, as usually happens when you do something for the first time, things did not go as planned. What I was told for this size piece of tri-tip is to do it for approximately 2 hours at about 225. Keep it in the low 200s temperature. I was kind of scared. I never had the temperature that low, and when it went that low, it felt like the fire was dwindling. So I kind of kept it a little higher, and I guess it cooked the meat a little more thoroughly and quicker than I expected. The meat's been on the grill for an hour and a half, and actually I just checked it a couple minutes ago. I came back, put the lid on, and said, let me do the video. You want to get to an internal temperature of approximately 120, so then you can kind of sear the meat. And I'll give you guys kind of a close-up here on what I saw. Our internal temp is between 120 and 130 right about now, and I checked it in a couple different spots. So I was expecting a 2 hour and change ordeal, but doing this on a higher heat has got it cooked a whole lot quicker than I expected. It's funny because I had just added a little fuel to the fire. So what I'm going to do is let this fire build, spread it just a little bit, and I'm going to sear this bad boy a few minutes on each side, and then it's going to be dinner time. I'm going to do this with some steamed veggies. Would have done it with some scalloped potatoes, but it's late and I don't want to eat too heavy too late, so we're going to go veggies. But let me finish this up. Like I said, we're an hour and a half in and we're almost done. Let me throw this on the fire and we'll be back. You know what, guys? I seared it on one side and then I flipped it, and I actually had to put the lid on because it was just too much flame. I'm going to give this about 10 seconds and pull it off. It's going to give a nice sear, nice char on each side, and then I'm going to let it rest for 20 minutes, and I think we are done. Especially with this fire. Holy shit. Like I said, I added fuel to the fire before I checked the temp. Should have done it the other way around, but hey, first time for everything, right? Look at that. The neighborhood is going to love me because that smells delicious. Meat, lump charcoal, apple wood, and oak. Fuck yeah. I'll be back. And there it is. The experiment worked out perfectly. You can see that beautiful medium rare meat. Nice sear and char on the outside. The final tip is, it doesn't matter what temperature you cook it at, just check your internals, and when it's at about 120 after an hour or 2 hours of smoking, sear it, and you're good to go. Haven't tasted it yet, but it did rest for 20 minutes after I took it out the fire, and we'll probably have this with some steamed vegetables. So the experiment was a success, and the Weber can slow smoke. Grass-fed tri-tip on apple and oak. There you go, people. Enjoy.